Hello everyone, hope you're having a good night. So Star Wars Battlefront. Ever since the release of the original Star Wars Battlefront 2, a lot of people have been asking for this franchise to return. And it did in 2015, and it was a disaster. The Star Wars Battlefront 2015 game had no single player campaign, a very poor man's arcade mode, had little to no content. The progression system was just garbage, lackluster cosmetics. They removed interactive vehicles. You would instead get these types of tokens that allowed you to spawn in as a vehicle. And hero classes also worked that way. You would just find a token instead of players who performed well getting access to the hero class. Didn't help that they were also charging $50 for the Star Wars Battlefront 2 Star Wars Battlefront 1 season pass. I mean, $110 seems meager considering how much they're charging for games nowadays. I mean, they charge like $100 for Modern Warfare 2's DLC. Suicide Squad, the Kill the Justice League early access was $100. So, yeah. It would be cheap by nowadays, but back then it was pretty expensive. And Star Wars Battlefront 2 decided to just up the ante with the controversies where they put in FIFA and Madden level microtransactions into Star Wars Battlefront 2. But unlike those gamers who basically accept it and take it right in the ass, they bend over and just say, we'll take it. The Star Wars community said, hell the fuck no. And they basically decided to just toss this entire pride and accomplishment bullshit argument back at EA's face. It was such a disaster that a lot of people would argue that Disney stepped in because this game was in parallel supposed to link up with the next Star Wars movie, the second movie. I don't really care to remember its name because it was a trash film, but yeah. And then EA also lost their exclusive license to Star Wars game. Many would argue Disney decided, you know what, this isn't worth it because up to Star Wars Battlefront 2, they just had disaster up to disaster. And yeah, they did have a success with Jedi Fallen Order, but regardless, the damage was done. Granted, Star Wars Battlefront 2 is a massively good game now. It pulled a No Man's Sky. They actually put in an effort to balance the game and make it actually fun to play. Then when everything was starting to run positively, they abandoned the game and now it's fell into disrepair. It has balancing issues, and if you're on PC, there is a rampant cheating problem there. So not exactly the most positive thing. If you were to get the game, I would argue getting it on console because cheating is limited there, especially you risk your console getting bricked if you try and cheat online on console games. But yeah, it's up to you, but it did pull off a very huge resurgence, and kudos where credit is due. The game is in a better state, and it's the Star Wars Battlefront game that people wanted. But recently, a couple of weeks ago, they announced the Classic Collection would be coming to modern consoles, and best of all, it would have multiplayer, fully functioning multiplayer, which is no easy feat for these types of games because you have to basically change up the entire network in order to complement modern hardware. So definitely a lot of people were looking forward to this game. But there was also controversy with the trailer because apparently they used footage from a modder, which was, it's just like, what the hell were you thinking in that situation? That's still stealing. And yeah, it's just been a major disaster because when the game launched, as you can see here, it has an overwhelming negative reception. And a lot of people in the comment section are basically stating exactly what I stated now. The network issues have been problematic. A lot of people saying they can't get into servers. There were only 3 servers to join at the game's launch, massing around 200 people. People were dropping, aiming it seems very fickle. There are just a myriad of problems, as you can just hear. A lot of people are just like, what the hell? And you do also have the troll reviews where people are saying the single player is fine, but of course people are buying this for the multiplayer. And that comment right there I can't say because YouTube will demonetize me. But yeah, you can see here from the IGN article, Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection launched in a disastrous state. Now, this isn't from a no-name developer. This is from Asper, which is actually pretty well known. They have ported a lot of games to modern hardware. Granted, the Star Wars Knights of the Republic 2, I believe, is the one that launched without DLC for the Nintendo Switch version, which a lot of people weren't exactly happy about for good reason. It should have launched with all the DLC. I'm not sure if it's Knights of the Old Republic 1 or 2. I haven't played those games. I was actually looking forward to the remake, but apparently that game is in development hell, but I might play these because everyone says it's BioWare's greatest games. I would argue against that because I think Mass Effect 2 is their greatest games, but, we'll see. But the Tomb Raider collection has actually been rated very positively. A lot of people have said that it's a really good remastering of these classic games. You can also see from Steam charts that these numbers seem very fickle, but this is because, again, the server and network issues have been extremely problematic. So to the IGN article, you can see here that they stated that the problem is, according to the updated support page, is critical errors with network infrastructure, which is a bit strange because you would assume this would be an ultra priority, because the number one thing people are going to dive into when they get into this collection is multiplayer. Now, network issues does happen. Look at how Call of Duty launches every year with broken network issues, and it takes next to 6 months to a year to fix those problems. Blizzard Entertainment has those issues every time a World of Warcraft expansion launches. So yeah, it happens, and if a billion-dollar corporation can't figure out these problems, then I'm going to assume that a company like this is also going to have their own side of issues, but not to the extent that people are dealing with them now. Like, the issues that they're dealing with are simply unforgivable. So yeah, since launch we've been working to address issue and increase network stability, and we will continue our efforts until our network infrastructure is stabilized to prevent further outages. Now, you're going to find out through this article that there are a lot more underlying issues that are problematic. Asper is under fire over the disastrous launch of the highly anticipated Star Wars Classic Collection, which is plagued with server issues, bugs, and more. Launching today, March 14th at $35. It includes the first 2 Star Wars Battlefront games. Currently has a mostly negative rating on Steam, with just 21% of reviews being positive. Right now it's overwhelmingly negative at a 19%, so it dropped 3%. Like, it's just going lower. Headline: most complaints are connectivity issues, with a myriad of Steam and social media issues, claiming just 64-player servers were available at launch for the 9,000 players who logged into Steam on Steam alone. So this issue has been problematic across all platforms: Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, all that stuff. Is this on PlayStation? I believe it is. They don't even have it listed here. So I don't know if it's on PlayStation or not. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. Let's see. Asper seemingly added more servers within a few hours of launch, but problems were rampant. Was only able to join one hero versus villains match, and the hero side was completely broken, said Kanjami on Steam. No one could join the heroes team, which resulted in no one to fight against. I figured it may have been just a Star Wars Battlefront 2 issue, so I hopped over to play Battlefront 1 multiplayer. There were 0 servers up for Battlefront 1. Wow. So no servers for Battlefront 1. Technically, you did win the match against the hero versus villains, because no opposing side, you won by default, but still, no servers on Battlefront 1? That's ridiculous. As of now, the multiplayer, otherwise known for the only reason to buy this product if you already own the original games, is entirely unplayable, making this game a waste of money until this issue is fixed, said Kasuni Kami. Currently, game is totally unplayable. Even if you manage to get into a server, players cannot spawn. Not sure if it's cheater or denial thing, bug gameplay, or both. It could be both, because if the network issues aren't working, I doubt the anti-cheat is working. Server issues appear just one part of the problem. However, aiming has been flagged as a major issue, including on PC with mouse sensitivity and consoles with traditional controller support. So you can see it extends more than just network issues. Aim controls make it unplayable in multiplayer. The complete lack of aim assist, there is one in solo, make it awful. It's been designed for controllers of the original Xbox era, but the price point is high and nothing has been touched on this front. Slater768 also noted the game-breaking bug with the respawn timer gets stuck on 1, saying it happened on 3 of the 5 games with only 1 full relaunch server as a fix. They also reported missing cutscenes in the campaign, split screen being limited to 2 players instead of 4, flight controls being inverted with no option to change, and sound issues where it spikes and mutes and more. So you can see here there are a lot of problems, not just the network problems within the game. Lightbringer OG began a bug report on Reddit where users reported on the Xbox Series S version doesn't work if 2 controllers are connected upon launch, instant crashes when searching for conquest game, bugged hitboxes, and more. So the game crashes when you have 2 controllers connected. That is just like a level of incompetence I can never even fathom. Like, this is even worse than freaking, I don't know, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3's multiplayer when that launched. Like, come on, guys. I love the original said, I'm not ready to work in their re-release so far is hands down the worst video game I've ever paid for. Asper isn't particularly popular with Star Wars fans following a handful of similar situations. It canceled the downloadable content for its Nintendo Switch port of Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2. There it is. Yeah, I was right. And its full remake of the same game has been stuck in development hell for years, but is reportedly still alive. This isn't the first time the classic collection has proved controversial either. Despite being announced just a few weeks ago on February 21st and launched today, Eagle Eye fans spotted Asper accidentally used footage of Star Wars mods for its trailer instead of its own gameplay. There you go. Yeah. So, yeah, I think they knew this was problematic. Now, Asper is owned by Embracer Group, which has been in the warpath recently. They shut down Saints Row developer. They're looking to sell Gearbox, and it's all because a Saudi Arabia deal fell through. And I think it was the CEO or the CFO, the guy's name is Lars, said that their biggest concern right now is the stockholders. Basically, they said the quiet part out loud. And yeah, so my guess is that Embracer Group pushed this game out before it was ready, because right now it doesn't seem like the most ideal situation to release a game. Not even given the technical problems. Even if everything worked for this game, this month is very clustered with a lot of big releases. I mean, people are still playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and even though sales for that game have been reportedly pretty low, even though I think it's absolutely fantastic, I've been loving it. But later down this month, we have Princess Peach Showtime, Rise of Ronin, and Dragon's Dogma 2. So 3 huge games are coming out all on the same day, which is crazy to me, but, you know, maybe they know something that I don't. But yeah, it just seems like they should have pushed this game back to maybe the summer, because, you know, that's where a lot of releases don't even happen. And this would have been a great game to have during the summer. A lot of people probably would have enjoyed playing this game. But given the state that it's in, I find it very unlikely, even with the trailer situation, that this game was not rushed into full production. Like, they released it before it was ready. Given not only the network issues, because, you know, big AAA developers and publishers struggle with that, it's the other technical issues, sound issues, controller support, aim assist, all those problems, on top of the fact that the trailer included mods from the Star Wars games prior to this. So it just seems like they just pulled The Last of Us Part 2 and didn't show the actual game as it was, because someone out there, or they pulled an Anthem, if you want to put that as, I think Anthem would be a much more credible comparison, or Aliens Colonial Marines. Like, The Last of Us Part 2's original trailer with Joel was more misleading than it was about not showing what the game was going to be like, I get. Well, yeah, I don't know. But either way, this game has just been like, I strongly believe that Embracer pushed this game out because no developer wants to release a broken game, because this is their livelihoods on the line, their resumes, their work record. No one wants to be attached to a game that is a major disaster, and this is a disaster. And if Embracer has their way, they probably will shut them down too, because again, they're going on the warpath. But tell me what you think about this. Do you think I'm being a conspiracy theorist? I'm being an alarmist? Because I feel like all the evidence is there, because no way a game like this would launch in the state that it's in unless someone was pulling strings behind the curtain to try and just get this out and hope that they can pull the same crap that AAA industries are now known for. This is more of like a AA game, because it's a re-release of a decade-old game, but the idea that these big companies could just release broken games and fix it later. It has seen success, such as with Star Wars Battlefront 2 and No Man's Sky, but those are one games out of thousands of games that just simply die out. I mean, look at Marvel's Avengers, how that turned out. Release it now, fix it later, and then it didn't even last a year. They had a 10-year plan with that game. Didn't even last like even 6 months, I would argue. And now look at Suicide Squad as well. Launch it now, broken issues. Granted, the game is broken on a fundamental level from just a lore perspective, but you get what I'm saying. Like, this idea of release the game now and we'll fix it later, I don't know how that's going to turn out, because even though a lot of people have been thirsting for this collection, and I guaranteed once they fix the issues, if they fix the issues, because like I said, Embracer has been on the, you know, warpath recently, like, will it still recover from the disaster that it is now? Because a lot of people will just move on. They'll just refund this game and buy a Star Wars game that actually works like Battlefront 2. So tell me what you think in the comments below. Am I being crazy and alarmist, or will you continue to play this game and hope for the best later on? I love to hear other people's opinions. And that's it for me. Check out my recent video on Resident Evil 5, how it's still be considered racist for some reason. And I'll see you all later. That's it. Bye.